What if I told you that the land you think you know? Kangaroos, beaches, koalas, holds mysteries so ancient, landscapes so surreal, and stories so untold that even lifelong travelers leave speechless. Imagine a country where the ground itself is older than the mountains of America, where coral reefs stretch further than the eye can see, where deserts glow red under galaxies untouched by city lights, and where cities buzz with life only minutes away from untouched wilderness. That land is Australia. But here's the thing, most people who think of Australia picture just Sydney Opera House, Bondi Beach, maybe the Great Barrier Reef. And yes, they're iconic, but the real wonder of Australia lies in the hidden gems, the staggering diversity, and the emotional stories each place holds. Over the next few minutes, let me take you on a journey across Australia like you've never seen before. We'll go beyond postcards and Instagram clichés. We'll explore ancient rocks that whisper secrets of the Earth's creation, reefs so alive they pulse with colors beyond imagination, and towns where time moves slower, reminding us of what it means to simply live. So, buckle up, because this isn't just a travel guide. This is Australia in 4K, alive, ancient, and utterly unforgettable. Before we dive into the journey, let's warm up with a few surprising fun facts about this land that often slip under the radar. These will set the stage for the wonders ahead. Fun facts about Australia. Fun fact 1: the world's oldest living culture. Australia is home to the world's oldest continuous culture, the Aboriginal people. Their traditions, art, and knowledge date back at least 65,000 years, making them not just Australia's original inhabitants but also storytellers of the Earth's earliest human history. Imagine that, while pyramids in Egypt are just a few thousand years old, Aboriginal rock art in Australia has been painted and preserved for tens of thousands of years. That's not just history. It's living time travel. Fun fact 2: it's bigger than you think. Most people underestimate Australia's size. On a map, it looks like just another country. But here's a perspective. You could fit the entire United States, minus Alaska, into Australia's landmass. It's so vast that flying from Sydney on the east coast to Perth on the west coast takes about 5 hours, the same as flying from New York to Los Angeles. Fun fact 3 or more. Beaches than days in a year. If you love beaches, you'll never run out of them here. Australia has over 10,000 beaches. If you visited one beach every single day, it would take you over 27 years to see them all. Imagine 27 years of waking up every day on a new shore. Fun fact 4: nature's most deadly and most adorable. Australia has a reputation for dangerous creatures. Yes, some of the deadliest snakes, spiders, and jellyfish live here. But it's also home to the most adorable marsupials you'll ever meet: koalas, quokkas, and kangaroos. It's almost like Australia said, let's balance out danger with pure cuteness. Fun fact 5: the pink lakes. Yes, pink. Australia has multiple lakes that turn bubblegum pink due to natural algae reactions, Lake Hillier being the most famous. From above, it looks like someone spilled a giant strawberry milkshake in the middle of the wilderness. Fun fact 6: starry skies like nowhere else. In Australia's remote outback, you'll see stars like never before. The Milky Way isn't just a faint band, it's so bright, it feels like a cosmic river flowing above you. Astronomers call it one of the best stargazing spots on Earth, and many indigenous stories are woven around these constellations, passed down for millennia.
Place 1. The Great Barrier Reef. A living cathedral beneath the waves. If Earth had a crown, one of its brightest jewels would surely be the Great Barrier Reef, stretching for more than 1,400 miles along Australia's northeast coast. It's not just the world's largest coral reef system, it's the largest living structure on the planet. Yes, you heard that right. The reef is so massive that it can be seen from space, like a glowing blue scar etched into the ocean. But let's pause for a second and look beyond the statistics. Imagine descending into its waters for the first time. The moment your mask breaks the surface, you're entering a different universe, one where every color feels dialed up, every shape seems alive. Schools of neon fish dart through coral arches like city commuters rushing through subway tunnels. Giant clams with mouths big enough to swallow your hand yawn lazily on the seafloor, their lips glowing shades of purple and turquoise you didn't even know existed in nature. And then, out of nowhere, a green sea turtle glides past, as if it's been swimming these same waters for centuries. In fact, it has. Some turtles here are known to live more than 80 years, returning to the exact same nesting beaches their ancestors used. The reef itself is a living library. Scientists believe it holds cures for diseases we haven't even discovered yet. Coral species, sponges, and marine microorganisms could one day be the key to treating cancer, Alzheimer's, or even the next global pandemic. It's as if the reef is both a natural wonder and a medical treasure chest. But here's the paradox. While it's one of the world's most stunning ecosystems, it's also one of the most fragile. Rising ocean temperatures and human impact threaten its survival. To swim through its waters today feels like stepping into a cathedral, majestic, sacred, but also a place you know must be protected at all costs. The Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, who have lived along the reef for thousands of years, see it not just as nature, but as kin. To them, it's a living relative, something to honor, respect, and preserve. Their stories say that every coral, every fish, every wave has its place in the dream time, the sacred time of creation. For visitors, the experience can be life-changing. One traveler once described diving into the reef as like falling into a kaleidoscope that never ends. And when you resurface, gasping in the salty air, you realize that this isn't just a place. It's a reminder that Earth is alive, that beauty can be infinite, and that some wonders are so big they can never truly be captured in photos or words. The Great Barrier Reef isn't just a destination, it's an emotion.
Place 2 or Uluru, Australia's Sacred Heart in the Red Desert. If the Great Barrier Reef is Australia's beating blue heart, then Uluru, the colossal sandstone monolith rising out of the desert in the Northern Territory, is its fiery red soul. Picture this. You are driving across a flat, endless desert where the horizon seems to stretch forever. The land feels empty, quiet, and timeless. Then, suddenly, out of nowhere, Uluru appears. A massive rock, nearly 1,150 feet tall and more than 5 miles around, emerging from the desert like a sleeping giant. Its sheer size takes your breath away. But it's not just the size, it's the way it changes. At sunrise, it glows gold. By midday, it shifts to a rusty red. And as the sun dips low, it burns a deep crimson, almost as if the earth itself were on fire. Locals call this transformation the Uluru Light Show, but it feels more like a living heartbeat pulsing through stone. To the Anangu people, the traditional custodians of the land, Uluru isn't just a rock. It's a sacred site, a living, breathing entity tied to the dream time, the Aboriginal creation stories. Every crack, cave, and curve on its surface carries meaning. There are ancient paintings etched into its caves that tell stories passed down for tens of thousands of years. To walk near Uluru isn't just sightseeing, it's entering a spiritual landscape that connects humans to the dawn of existence. What's fascinating is that scientists believe Uluru formed more than 550 million years ago, before dinosaurs even roamed the earth. Yet for the Anangu, its significance isn't in millions of years, but in timelessness. They say Uluru has always been there, and always will be. One of the most powerful experiences visitors describe is standing in silence at its base during twilight. The desert is still, the air cools, and suddenly the stars emerge. With no city lights for hundreds of miles, the night sky above Uluru becomes one of the clearest in the world. The Milky Way arcs over the great monolith like a silver river, making you feel both small and infinite at the same time. But Uluru also carries an important lesson. For years, tourists climbed it like a mountain. But to the Anangu, climbing Uluru was deeply disrespectful. It would be like walking into a cathedral and clambering up the altar. In 2019, after decades of requests from indigenous elders, climbing Uluru was finally banned. And in that moment, Australia reminded the world, travel isn't just about places, it's about respect, about understanding that some wonders are sacred. Standing before Uluru is like standing in front of the earth's memory. It is silent, yet it speaks. It is still, yet it moves you. And once you've seen it glow under the desert sun, you carry that light with you forever. Place number 3, the Whitsunday Islands, a tropical dream between reef and sky. Imagine flying over the ocean in a small plane. Below you, the water shifts from deep sapphire blue to bright turquoise, and then suddenly, like a brushstroke on a canvas, you see it, swirls of white sand twisting and folding into the sea, like marble patterns drawn by the hand of nature itself. This is the Whitsunday Islands, a cluster of 74 tropical islands sitting right at the edge of the Great Barrier Reef in Queensland. They are often called Australia's version of paradise, but that feels like an understatement. These islands aren't just beautiful, they are dreamlike, surreal, the kind of place where reality feels softer, lighter, almost painted. The crown jewel is Whitehaven Beach, often ranked as one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Its sand isn't just white, it's made of 98% pure silica, so fine it squeaks beneath your feet like fresh snow. On a sunny day, it reflects light so brightly it feels as though the beach itself is glowing. But what makes Whitehaven unforgettable is the tide. As the ocean rises and falls, it pushes the sand into swirling patterns, creating a natural artwork that's never the same twice. From above, it looks like the earth has taken a paintbrush and decided to play. But here's what most people don't realize. The Whitsundays aren't just beaches, they're an ecosystem of rare beauty. Between the islands, manta rays glide like living kites, humpback whales migrate during the winter months, and sea eagles soar overhead, scanning the turquoise waters for fish. You can sail for days between the islands and find yourself anchoring at a beach where not a single footprint exists but your own. And there's history. Shoo! The Whitsundays are deeply significant to the local Ngaro people, who lived among these islands for thousands of years. Archaeological sites here reveal one of the oldest seafaring cultures in human history. Imagine navigating between these islands in bark canoes long before modern maps or compasses, knowing the tides, the stars, and the winds as intimately as we know our GPS today. Today, sailing through the Whitsundays has become a kind of rite of passage for travelers. Some describe it as living inside a screensaver, others as sailing through a dream you never want to wake up from. Whether you are snorkeling in a hidden bay, watching the sunset from a yacht deck, or simply lying on the sand, with nothing but the sound of the waves, there's something about these islands that slows time. And perhaps that's the true wonder of the Whitsundays. It's not just their beauty, It's their ability to remind us that sometimes life is meant to be savored slowly. Out here, surrounded by endless sea and sky, you are reminded that the world is still capable of giving us moments that feel pure, untouched, and eternal. Place number 4, Kakadu National Park, a land of ancient rock art and crocodile rivers. Step into Kakadu National Park, and it's like stepping into a living time capsule. Stretching over 7,600 square miles in the Northern Territory, it's not just Australia's largest national park, it's a world within a world, a place where every corner whispers both danger and wonder. The first thing that hits you is the scale. Endless wetlands stretch to the horizon, broken by dramatic escarpments, sheer cliffs rising like ancient fortresses above the green. Waterfalls tumble down red rocks into hidden pools, while vast billabongs shimmer in the heat, filled with lilies so delicate they look like floating porcelain. But make no mistake, this is crocodile country. Saltwater crocodiles, the largest reptiles on Earth, rule these waters. Some grow over 20 feet long, with jaws strong enough to crush bone. Seeing one in the wild isn't like spotting an animal on safari, it's like meeting a relic of the dinosaur age, alive and waiting just beneath the surface. Locals say, if the water looks good enough to swim in, it's probably good enough for a crocodile chew. That's Kakadu, beautiful, but edged with danger. Yet Kakadu isn't just about wildlife. It's also one of the most important cultural landscapes on the planet. The Aboriginal people have lived here for more than 65,000 years, making it one of the oldest continuous human settlements on Earth. And they've left their mark, literally, on the rocks. Scattered across the cliffs are thousands of pieces of ancient rock art. At Ubir and Nerlangi, ochre paintings cover stone walls like open-air galleries. Some depict hunting scenes, kangaroos, turtles, and fish drawn with intricate detail. Others show spirits from the dreamtime, their bodies painted in X-ray style, with bones and organs visible. And then there are paintings of ships, evidence that Aboriginal artists recorded the arrival of Europeans hundreds of years ago. Standing in front of these artworks is haunting. These aren't just paintings, they are messages across time. Imagine someone, 20,000 years ago, grinding ochre pigment, painting their world, never knowing that millennia later, strangers from across the ocean would stand in awe before their creation. But Kakadu isn't frozen in the past. It's alive. Every wet season, when monsoon rains flood the plains, the park transforms. Rivers swell, waterfalls thunder, and the land becomes a mosaic of life, birds by the thousands, fish surging through flooded forests, crocodiles sliding through rising waters. Then, as the dry season returns, the land shrinks back, waterholes become lifelines, and the cycle begins again. It's no wonder UNESCO lists Kakadu not once, but twice, for both its natural and cultural significance. Few places on Earth carry this much meaning. For visitors, Kakadu feels like being let into a secret, one that's both beautiful and humbling. It teaches you that nature is not something to tame, but something to respect. It shows you that human history is not measured in centuries, but in tens of thousands of years. And it reminds you that the land itself is a storyteller, older and wiser than we can ever comprehend. Kakadu isn't just a national park. It's Australia's memory carved in stone and water.
Place 5, the 12 Apostles. Nature's stone giants along the Great Ocean Road. Drive along Australia's southern coast, just a few hours from Melbourne, and you'll find yourself on a stretch of road so breathtaking that it's often called one of the world's most scenic drives, the Great Ocean Road. It twists and turns above cliffs where the Southern Ocean pounds endlessly against the shore, and around every bend, the view gets better. But nothing prepares you for what's waiting near Port Campbell, the legendary 12 Apostles. Picture this. massive limestone pillars rising straight out of the ocean, like sentinels guarding the coast. Each one stands anywhere between 150 to 200 feet tall, carved over millions of years by the relentless power of wind and waves. They look eternal, but the truth is, they're fragile. In fact, despite their name, there were never exactly 12. Some have already collapsed back into the sea, leaving only 8 still standing today. Nature is still sculpting, still deciding which will remain and which will fall. Standing on the viewing platform at sunset, the sight is surreal. The cliffs glow orange, the sea foams white, and the apostles themselves turn gold in the fading light. The sound of the ocean crashing below echoes like a heartbeat, and you realize you're looking at a landscape that is both powerful and temporary. But the Great Ocean Road isn't just about scenery, it's about history too. This 150-mile stretch was actually built by returning soldiers after World War I as a memorial to their fallen comrades. So when you drive it, you're not just seeing a road, you're traveling along the world's largest war memorial, built by hand as a tribute to resilience and sacrifice. And the coastline hides even more secrets. Just nearby is Loch Ard Gorge, a natural cove named after a shipwreck in 1878. Only 2 survivors washed up on that beach, a teenage cabin boy and a young woman. Their story became legend, retold for generations. Walking down into the gorge today, with sheer cliffs towering around you, you can almost hear the echoes of waves that once carried those survivors to safety. The 12 apostles are a reminder of nature's artistry and its impermanence. Geologists say the same forces that created them will one day destroy them. The ocean is patient and time always wins. Yet, in that fleeting window of human life, to stand before them is to witness something deeply humbling. Beauty born from destruction, permanence carved from fragility. And maybe that's why the 12 apostles captivate travelers from around the world. They aren't just rocks. They are monuments to time, sculpted by the sea, and destined one day to return to it.
Place number 6, the Daintree Rainforest, where the jungle meets the reef. Far up in tropical North Queensland lies a place where time feels broken, where the world as we know it pauses, and you step into something ancient, green, and endlessly alive. This is the Daintree Rainforest, the oldest living rainforest on the planet. Scientists estimate it's been growing here for over 180 million years, tens of millions of years older than the Amazon. Walking into the Daintree is like walking into the Earth's memory. Giant ferns unfurl like green umbrellas, vines twist like serpents around towering trees, and strange calls echo from the canopy above. The air is thick, damp, and sweet with the smell of wet soil and leaves. And everywhere you look, life is bursting. Butterflies the size of your hand, birds in dazzling colors, frogs calling from hidden pools. But the Daintree's true magic lies in its secrets. This rainforest is a living museum of evolution, home to plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. Here you can see the cassowary, a giant, flightless bird often called the guardian of the rainforest. With its bright blue head, helmet-like casque, and powerful legs, it looks like something left over from the dinosaur age. And in a way, it is. The cassowary plays a vital role in spreading seeds that keep the forest alive, a cycle that has been happening for millions of years. And then there's the crocodiles. Yes, the same saltwater crocs that rule Kakadu also patrol the rivers here. Taking a boat ride along the Daintree River, you'll see their armored backs breaking the surface as they silently watch from the mangroves. It's thrilling, and a reminder that this forest is wild in every sense of the word. What makes the Daintree truly unique, though, is where it ends. Unlike most rainforests, which stop at mountains or rivers, the Daintree flows all the way down to the sea. And not just any sea, the Great Barrier Reef. Nowhere else in the world due to World Heritage sites literally meet. You can stand barefoot on the sand at Cape Tribulation, and behind you the rainforest hums with ancient life, while in front of you the coral reef stretches into the horizon. It's as if two different worlds, the jungle and the ocean, shake hands here. But the Daintree isn't just about age or beauty. It's also a reminder of resilience. For decades, large sections of it were logged, cleared, and threatened. Yet, thanks to conservation and indigenous leadership, much of it has been protected. The Kuku Yalangji people, who have called this forest home for thousands of years, share dreamtime stories that explain how the forest was created and why every creature in it has a role. To them, the Daintree is more than nature. It's a living relative, a teacher. Visitors often describe the Daintree as overwhelming, not in size, but in presence. Standing under a tree that has been alive for 3,000 years, you can't help but feel small, but in the best way. You realize you are not just walking in a forest, you are walking inside the heartbeat of Earth itself. The Daintree is proof that the world's oldest places aren't stuck in the past. They're still alive, still teaching us, and still breathtakingly beautiful.
Place number 7, Sydney Harbour, where city and sea dance together. When people think of Australia, one image almost always comes to mind: the shimmering white sails of the Sydney Opera House, rising above the water like a fleet of futuristic ships, set against the steel arch of the Harbour Bridge. And it's true, Sydney Harbour is one of the most instantly recognizable cityscapes in the world. But what makes it truly special isn't just the architecture. It's the way city and sea blend here so seamlessly that you sometimes forget where one ends and the other begins. Imagine standing on Circular Quay at sunrise. The first light hits the Opera House, turning its tiles golden, while ferries glide across the water carrying commuters who seem to sail to work instead of drive. Seagulls wheel above, yachts bob gently in the marina, and beyond the bustle, the vast Pacific Ocean stretches out, just a short sail away. Few cities can claim a harbor this alive, this dynamic, this breathtaking. But Sydney Harbour is more than a postcard. It's enormous, spanning about 150 miles of shoreline with more than 30 square miles of water. Tucked along its edges are hidden coves, secret beaches, and pockets of wilderness that feel miles away from the city. You can kayak past towering skyscrapers one moment and find yourself landing on a quiet, sandy beach the next. For the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the harbour has always been a source of life, food, and culture. Long before the first ships arrived from Britain, the Gadigal fished these waters, told stories about the tides, and celebrated the harbour as part of their dream time, the spiritual time of creation. Their connection reminds us that Sydney Harbour isn't just modern. It's ancient, layered with thousands of years of history. And then there's the bridge, an engineering marvel nicknamed the coat hanger. When it opened in 1932, it was the world's largest steel arch bridge, and it still holds a powerful presence today. But here's something most tourists don't know. You can actually climb it. Imagine strapping on a harness and slowly ascending its curved spine. As you rise, the city spreads out beneath you. Skyscrapers, Opera House, ferries crisscrossing the blue water. By the time you reach the summit, 440 feet above the harbour, the view is so vast it feels like flying. Sydney Harbour is also a stage. Every New Year's Eve it explodes into one of the most famous fireworks displays in the world, watched live by over 1 billion people across the globe. But even without the fireworks, the harbour has a kind of magic. On a quiet evening, when the sun sets behind the bridge and the lights of the city begin to twinkle, the water reflects everything, sky, buildings, stars, so that the city itself seems doubled, half on land, half floating on the waves. What makes Sydney Harbour a wonder isn't just its beauty, it's its balance. It's a reminder that a city doesn't have to smother nature. Sometimes it can dance with it. And in Sydney's case, the dance is unforgettable.
Place number 8, Tasmania's wilderness, the edge of the world. Tasmania, often just called Tassie by Australians, might be small compared to the mainland, But don't let its size fool you. Nearly half of this island is protected wilderness, and much of it is so ancient, so wild, it feels like stepping into a time before humans. UNESCO calls it one of the last great temperate wilderness areas on Earth, and once you are there, you understand why. Imagine hiking through forests where giant trees rise like skyscrapers. Some of them are Huon pines, living for over 2,000 years, their roots reaching back to the time of the Roman Empire. Others are eucalyptus trees so tall they rival California's redwoods, their trunks disappearing into the clouds. Beneath the canopy, moss carpets the ground in thick green velvet, and streams rush cold and clear, as if bottled straight from the dawn of creation. But Tasmania's wilderness isn't just forests. Drive to the west coast, and you'll find the Tarkine, a vast stretch of rainforest that feels primeval. Or head to the Southwest National Park, where jagged peaks, glacial lakes, and wild rivers look like something torn straight from fantasy landscapes in Lord of the Rings. In fact, many filmmakers use Tasmania as a backdrop because it feels untouched, cinematic, larger than life. And then there's the coastline. At the Bay of Fires, white sand beaches stretch for miles, interrupted by giant boulders stained orange by lichen, glowing as if they've been set on fire by the sun. In contrast, the southern cliffs near Cape Raoul rise sheer out of the sea like giant organ pipes, battered day and night by waves that have traveled thousands of miles across the Southern Ocean with nothing to slow them down. Locals call this stretch the Roaring Forties because the winds howl in from Antarctica, bringing raw power that sculpts both sea and land. But perhaps the most haunting place in Tasmania is its dark sky reserves. In many parts of the island, the night is so clear, you can see the Milky Way blazing overhead. And if you are lucky, you might even witness the aurora australis, the southern lights. Waves of green, purple, and pink shimmer across the sky, reminding you that this isn't just the edge of the world, it's the edge of the cosmos. Place number 9, the Pinnacles of Western Australia, a desert of stone guardians. Travel about 120 miles north of Perth, and suddenly, the landscape begins to change. The eucalyptus trees thin out, the air grows drier, and then you arrive in the Nambung National Park. What greets you is something that looks like it belongs on another planet, the Pinnacles Desert. Here, scattered across the golden sands, stand thousands of limestone pillars, some just a few feet high, others towering nearly 15 feet. They stretch as far as the eye can see, jagged, sharp, or smooth, each one shaped uniquely by wind and time. Walking among them feels like wandering through a city of stone, where nature itself has become the architect. But what exactly are they? Scientists believe the pinnacles were formed tens of thousands of years ago when seashells, rich in calcium, were blown inland and compacted into limestone. Over time, wind and rain eroded the softer material, leaving behind these airy towers. It's geology's slow magic, a process so gradual you can't see it happening, yet the result is spectacular. At sunrise and sunset, the pinnacles glow in hues of gold and red, casting long shadows across the desert floor. And at night, under the clear skies of Western Australia, the desert transforms again. With almost no light pollution, the Milky Way stretches like a shimmering highway above the stone spires. The effect is otherworldly, like walking on Mars, but under a galaxy that feels close enough to touch. But the pinnacles aren't just a scientific curiosity. For the Ute people, the local Aboriginal community, this desert is a sacred place. Their stories describe these formations as spirits of ancestors, guardians standing watch over the land. To wander here isn't just to see geology, it's to step into a landscape heavy with meaning, one where every stone is a storyteller. Visitors often describe feeling a strange energy here. The silence is profound, No birds, no rivers, just the whisper of wind across sand. Every footstep crunches loudly, every shadow feels alive. Some travelers say it's beautiful but eerie, almost like walking through the ruins of a forgotten civilization. And maybe that's why the Pinnacles resonate so deeply. They remind us that nature is the greatest sculptor, capable of creating landscapes that rival human imagination. Place number 10, the Blue Mountains, Australia's misty kingdom of stone and sky. Head west from Sydney, and within 2 hours you arrive at a place that feels like stepping into another world, the Blue Mountains. Stretching across 1 million hectares of wilderness, this vast plateau of sandstone cliffs, waterfalls, and eucalyptus forests is one of Australia's most enchanting escapes. Why are they called the Blue Mountains? It's not just poetry, it's science. The eucalyptus trees that blanket the valleys release tiny droplets of oil into the air. When sunlight hits these particles, it scatters blue light, creating a shimmering hedge that makes the entire landscape glow with a soft, dreamlike blue. From a distance, the mountains look like they've been painted with watercolor. The centerpiece of this wonder is the famous rock formation known as the Three Sisters, 3 towering sandstone pillars that rise above the Jameson Valley. According to Aboriginal legend, they were once 3 sisters turned to stone by a protective elder during a tribal battle, and they remain frozen in place to this day, a symbol of strength, resilience, and family. Standing on the Echo Point lookout, with the 3 sisters in the foreground and the valley stretching endlessly behind them, it's a view that stirs something deep inside. But the Blue Mountains aren't just about what you see, they're about what you feel. Hike down into the valleys, and the modern world disappears. Trails lead you through forests of towering eucalyptus, where the smell of crushed leaves lingers in the cool air. You pass waterfalls tumbling into fern-filled glens, caves hidden in cliff walls, and lookout points where hawks ride the thermals rising from the valley floor. It feels timeless, like the land is breathing slowly, patiently, unconcerned with the rush of human life. And then there's the Jenolan Caves, some of the oldest open caves in the world, formed over 340 million years ago. Inside, crystal formations glisten like chandeliers, underground rivers echo in the darkness, and chambers stretch so vast they feel like cathedrals carved by Earth itself. Exploring them is like descending into the planet's secret heart. For the Gundungurra and Darug people, the Blue Mountains are far more than scenic, they are sacred. The valleys and cliffs hold dreamtime stories that explain how the land was created and why it must be cared for. To walk these trails with that perspective is to understand that you are not just a visitor, you are stepping into a living story that began long before you and will continue long after. At sunset, when the last light hits the sandstone cliffs and the valleys turn deep blue beneath the rising mist, the Blue Mountains feel like a dream you don't want to wake from. They are not just a wonder of Australia, they are a reminder that sometimes the greatest beauty lies just beyond the city, waiting quietly in the mountains. So there we have it. From the neon underwater cathedrals of the Great Barrier Reef to the sacred red glow of Uluru, from the drifting sands of the Whitsundays to the crocodile rivers of Kakadu, from the stone giants of the 12 Apostles to the ancient breath of the Daintree Rainforest, from the sparkling fusion of city and sea in Sydney Harbour to the wild edge of the world in Tasmania, from the otherworldly guardians of the Pinnacles to the misty valleys of the Blue Mountains, Australia isn't just one place. It is many worlds, stitched together on a single island continent.